Okay, so we are going to do a little note video here that I want you guys to actually write down some notes. So this is Algebra 2, and we are talking about multiplying polynomials. All right, so we might have a monomial, which means one term. And that term could have a variable and so this here could look like a coefficient and a variable. It could look like, so right, this is a coefficient and a variable term. It could be just a coefficient or a constant. It could be just a variable term. Any of those are a monomial, okay? You could be taking a binomial. So if you have a binomial, that might look like 3x plus 2. Two terms inside that binomial. It could be a trinomial or a polynomial. So a polynomial is 3 or more terms. And an example might look like, I don't know, 6a to the third b squared minus 4abc plus 8ab squared c to the fourth. Okay, so we're going to talk about multiplying polynomials. It could be a monomial times a binomial, or two binomials, or a monomial times a polynomial, or something. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about, let me add a page here. So we're going to add a page. We're going to add a background. Okay. So let's talk about the distributive property. Actually, let's talk about something before that. If we are multiplying and we have variable terms with exponents, oops, variables with exponents. So let's say you have something like 3x squared times 7x to the fifth. All right, do you know what to do with that thing? So you're going to take and multiply the bases. So that would give you 21. But you're going to add the exponents. So we're going to add these guys together, and that would be x to the seventh. Okay, so as a rule, we're going to multiply the bases or the coefficients. But you're going to add the exponents. All right, and then kind of an unsaid rule of thumb. If you see, let's say we have 4x times 5x, what is the power on these x's right here if you don't see that power? Okay, so that's an invisible power of 1, right? So those are a 1 and a 1. So if we multiplied this together, we multiply the bases, we would get 20. We'd put our variable on. And if they each have a 1 and we add those together, then we would get a squared in there. And if you guys need to write those ones in there, you can do that, right? You can put the 1 in here and the 1 in here if you need to. You don't have to. It's more actually correct to just leave those off. But if you need to do that, you can. Okay, so that's something you should know how to do. So then after that, distributive property. All right, so we're going to add a page, add some content, go back to a real pen. Okay, so the distributive property. Something you all should know, but I want to make sure we talk about and cover just quickly. we're going to take something like 2x times 9x minus 4x squared. Okay, so you're going to take the leading number and you're going to multiply, right? The distributive property is always multiplication by anything in the parentheses. So you're going to multiply by, I guess we should say everything, right? By everything in the parentheses. If there's 2 things in there, you're going to multiply by 2 things. If there's 4 things in there, you're going to multiply by all 4. Stop multiplying when you get to the end of the parentheses. Okay, so we're going to multiply 2x times, and then we're going to multiply the 2x times a negative 4x squared. And make sure that you bring this sign over with this 4x squared. It's super important, okay? So when we multiply, these 2 things are going to give us an 18x to the second, right? Because these each have a 1 on them. And then we're going to have a negative 8. This has a 1, x to the third. And that would be the answer to that distribution problem, okay? All right, let's take a look at one more. We'll do this guy. 2ab squared c times 3a squared c minus 2abc minus 4c squared. Now, unlike addition and subtraction, you don't have to have like terms to multiply. Okay? You just stick your variables together when you multiply them and you continue on. So so this one has a b in it, this one does not. It doesn't matter. I can still multiply. So I'm going to multiply this whole term, 2ab squared c times 3a squared c. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 and I'm going to get a 6. And then a, now this is to the first and this c is to the first. And if you want to put those in there, go ahead. So a to the first times a to the second is a to the third. There's no b in this term here, so I'm just going to bring down a b squared. And then I have c to the first and c to the first, so that's going to be c squared. Okay, now this is a positive 2 over here. This guy is a positive 2. So a positive 2 times a negative 2, here I'll change my pen color. Positive 2 times a negative 2 is a negative 4. And then I've got a to the first and a to the first, so that's a to the second. B to the second and b to the first is b to the third. C to the first and c to the first is c to the second. All right, we'll go to the green. So now I have a positive 2 over here times a negative 4 is a negative 8. So it's really important that you carry these signs over. And then an a to the first right here. And there's no a's over here. So I'm just going to bring down the a. And then I have a b squared, no b's, so b squared. And then I have a c to the first and a c squared, so that's a c to the third. So that would be, this whole entire thing would be the answer if you were asked to multiply anything like that. And I had problems like that in varsity, but I thought you might hate them, so I got rid of them. So you're welcome. But you should know how to do that. Okay, now let's talk about what the real lesson is. Multiplying 2 binomials together. Okay, so multiplying binomials. So sometimes people refer to this as foiling, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So the first problem that we're going to look at looks like this. X plus 3 times 2x plus 5. So the first thing I would say is notice that there's no sign in between those. That means you're multiplying, right? When there's no sign in between. So this implies multiplication. Okay, that's important. So we're going to take, and I like to almost think of these as kind of double distribution. All right, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to draw a little box here. Give me a hot second here to make a box. And I'm going to, okay, I'm going to take that box and I'm going to make it, here, I'll just make it black and color it black. Okay, so we're going to pretend that that 5 is not there. Okay, actually, no, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to pretend this 3 isn't there. I need it a little bit smaller. Okay, so we're going to cover up the first number in the second set of parentheses and just pretend that only the x is in there. Okay, just that first number. And what we're going to do with that x is we're going to then take it and we are going to multiply by, we're going to distribute it to both things in the second set of parentheses. Okay, so we're going to go x times 2x. So x times 2x, that's this guy right here. So x times 2x, so that's 2x squared. Then I'm going to go x times 5. Well, that's plus 5x. Okay, so are you seeing where those first two things came from? So if I wanted to lay that out, I have x times 2x, and then I had x times 5. Okay, those came from the x times both of those. Then I'm going to move the box. When I use the x to multiply by everything, I'm going to cover that guy up, and I'm going to multiply the 3 by both of the things in the other set of parentheses. So now I'm going to go 3 times 2x, and that's going to give me a 6x. And then I'm going to go 3 times 5, and that's a plus 15. And so when you multiply binomials or you FOIL, you should get 4 terms when you do this. Okay, and now I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a 2x squared. Remember, when you combine like terms, you just add your coefficients together. So I'm going to have plus 11x plus 15, and this is my answer to that question. Okay, so that's not too terribly difficult, right? So I'm going to do 2 more of these examples really quickly, and then you'll have a worksheet that I want you to do. Oh, and there's going to be some questions in here if they haven't happened yet in the Edpuzzle part. All right, so here's another example. Let me write this guy down. We're going to do 7x plus 4 times 3x minus 1. All right, now when you get minus signs in here, you have to be really careful with these things. So I'm going to grab this box. I'm going to cover up the second number. And you can put your hand over yours, a pencil, whatever. And then I'm going to, again, take the first number and multiply by the first number. So I have 7x times 3x. And that's going to give me 21x to the second. 21x squared. And then I'm going to go 7x times negative 1. Well, that's a negative 7x. So this is where sign errors sometimes tend to happen. So you need to be really careful. Okay, so now we're going to move the box. Oops, I didn't move the box. I'm moving the whole parentheses. Move that. Move the. Why is that happening? I want to grab that box. I'm having trouble. Technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. So now I have a plus 4 here. So I'm going to change the color of my pen so you can see what's happening. I'm going to go 4 times 3x. Well, that's a 12x. So I'm going to go plus 12x. And then I have 4 times negative 1. And that's a negative 4. All right, so now we're going to, again, combine like terms. So I have this 21x squared. That's just going to drop down. A 12x minus a 7x, or a negative 7 plus a 12. Whichever way, I always like the bigger number minus the smaller number. So 12 minus 7, that's going to be a plus 5x. And then this guy's just going to drop down. minus 4. So this is the answer to that question. So we're starting with, I want you to multiply these together. Where we're going to end up is you're going to get this answer right here, and you're going to have to take it apart into the two parentheses. It's kind of where we're going. All right, so the next and last one has two negative signs. So this is example 3. This one is, I'll just label this one just so it stands out a little bit. Here, I'll go back, example 1. And this is example 2. Let's see if I can grab this box when I need it. So this one is 5x minus 4 times 7x minus 3. Okay, so I'm going to take this box again. Oh, look, did it again. I don't want all of that. I just want that guy. I don't think that's the box. Let me just move that out of the way so I can grab the box. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to cover up the minus 4. And then we are going to multiply the negative, or the 5. 5x times 7x. Okay, 5x times 7x. Well, that is 35x to the second. And then I have 5x times negative 3. Well, that's a negative 15x. And I'm laying all these out on the side over here for people who need to see that, but I don't expect you to do that if you don't need to. Okay, so let me move this box. Oh, it's happening again. This is frustrating. There we go. Oh, nope. I don't know why that is doing that. There we go. All right, now when you cover this up, because that negative is in front of that 4, make sure that you show that. And when you're ready to, you're going to multiply by that negative 4 times 7x. So negative 4 times 7x. So this is a negative 28x. And then a negative 4 times a negative 3. Whoops. Negative 4. Where's my undo button? Negative 4 times negative 3. Negative times a negative is a positive 12. So be super careful here with your signs. All right, so now I'm again combining like terms. So this guy's just going to come down, 35x squared. Oh, 28 and 15. I'm adding these things together because the signs are the same. So it's a 13, negative 43. And I can just drop the 12. Okay, so that is how you're going to multiply. Now, why are these things called foiling? Let's talk about that really quickly. Let's add another page. Add a page. And I won't put lines on here. Foiling. These stand for first, outer, inner, and last. Okay, and so when you have these, we'll just look at that last problem. 5x minus 4 times 7x minus 3. So first means multiply the first number by the first number. So that's 5x times 7x. Okay, and then here, I'll do these in different colors. And then outer. The outers is literally outer and the outer. So that's 5x times negative 3. The inners are the two inside numbers. So that's 7x and negative 4. And let's see, I'll go with blue. Last are the two last numbers. So negative 4 times negative 3. And then if you do all that math, let's see, we get 35x squared. We get a negative 15x. We get a negative 28x. And then we get a positive 12. And then when you combine these like terms, you get your 35x squared. Here's our negative 43x and our plus 12. And you get the same answer, right? So we have 35. Oh, look, I left an x off of here. 35x squared minus 43x plus 12. But what I found when I learned to multiply like that was I spent so much time trying to go first is this one, outers are this one, inners are this one, last are this one, that when I just think about covering up a number, like, cover up this 4 and distribute, cover up this 5 and distribute, it was so much simpler. All right, so you can do it either way. I don't really care. They're all fine. Here's another method if you like this one. It's this like a lattice method. So it's this. If you go, so here was so we had 5x minus 4 and 7x minus 3. You put one binomial across the top, 5x minus 4, 7x minus 3, and then you multiply what's inside. So you multiply everything. So this would be 35x squared. 7x and negative 4, this would be negative 28x. Then I go 5x and negative 3, this is negative 15x. And then this is positive 12. And then these two are like terms that you have to combine. So there's your 35x squared, top left corner, combine like terms, negative 43x. And then bottom right corner is the 12. That's another way you can do it. They're all totally fine. I don't care. Just learn how to multiply binomials. Completely fine. This is called the lattice method. Okay, so we have double distribution, lattice method, foiling method. All three. All right, so that's it. Toodaloo for now. I will talk to you later.